All right, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to give everyone 1 minute. I know that sounds a little rough, but we do have to keep going. We have a full agenda tonight.
No, son las 5, les voy a dar a todos un minuto más. Sé que parece justito, pero tenemos una agenda repleta hoy.
All right, welcome everyone. I just want to go over the Zoom options for translation. Simultaneous interpretation is being provided. English speakers may need to select English as their language. When accessing Zoom from your computer, click the globe icon located at the bottom of the screen. Choose English. When you are accessing Zoom from a smartphone, please click the 3 dots, More, on the bottom right side of the screen. Choose Language Interpretation. Choose English. Press Done on the top right side of the screen. I will hand things on over to my Spanish interpreter.
Bienvenidos. La interpretación simultánea en español está disponible. Los hispanohablantes deben seleccionar su idioma. Al acceder a Zoom a través de una computadora, haga clic en el símbolo del globo terráqueo en la parte inferior de la pantalla. Seleccione español y apague el audio original para solo escuchar una voz a la vez. Si está ingresando a Zoom a través de un dispositivo inteligente, haga clic en los 3 puntos en la parte inferior derecha de la aplicación donde dice More o Más, seleccionando Interpretación, el idioma de español, finalizando haciendo clic en Done o Finalizar en la parte derecha de la pantalla. El servicio de interpretación comenzará en unos instantes. Muchas gracias.
All right. This also includes ASL interpretation. You will follow the same instructions that are listed on the screen. Next slide. All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Adelina Paez, an air pollution specialist and regional liaison for the Clean Transportation Outreach Section here at CARB. My work is focused on light-duty outreach. I am also a liaison for the Planning and Capacity Grant and tribal coordinator for the Mobile Source Control Division. I will be facilitating the evening community meetings up until December. Then we will switch over and someone else will be covering, but we work as a team. This is in coordination of the funding plan. We also would like to share program updates with you all and coordinate presentations on topics that are of public interest, which means you matter. We want to know what you want to learn from us. So keep that in mind moving forward. We're always open to anything that interests us. I also would like to take a minute to acknowledge the entire CARB staff team that's online tonight. It takes a whole lot of folks to make these meetings happen, and I would just like to say thank you very much for taking time out of your evening. And before we get started, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping items that we will need to address tonight. This meeting is being recorded, and it will be available on our meetings and workshops webpage in about 2 weeks. This will include the agenda that's already posted, slides are already posted, and we should have attendee lists for you as well. Staff can drop the link in the chat where this information can be found. Next slide. Okay, these are our meeting agreements. The meeting agreements are all about community and sharing information. Our meeting agreements are here to alleviate challenges and are as follows. Be respectful, please. Let's be kind and create a comfortable space for everyone to share their thoughts and experiences. Take space and or make space. If you have a lot of questions, great. If you have a lot to say, great. We encourage it. But please be mindful and leave room for others as well, especially when there are a lot of agenda items to cover. Listen to understand. Listen without judgment or jumping to conclusions. And consider equity. We all aim to develop solutions with fairness and equality in mind. We do our best. People from all over California are here to work together on the clean transportation incentives. These diverse perspectives can be helpful to us, or can be helpful to overcome barriers. With these agreements, let's continue. Next slide. Okay. So what is the purpose of the evening community meetings? Our annual funding plan development process involves daytime work groups or workshops and work group meetings on various incentive projects. However, we do understand that community members face unique challenges attending these meetings compared to representatives from industry, government, and non-governmental organizations. So CARB continues to host monthly evening community meetings to make it easier for community members to engage with us. Our goal for these meetings are to provide a space for community voices and priorities, brainstorm solutions for clean transportation needs, highlight key funding plan information, and foster ongoing communication between staff and community. Next slide. All right. First up for today's agenda, we have an overview of the Clean Transportation Equity and Light Duty Vehicle Investments Work Group from August 6th. So this has already happened. This is just a review. We will end this segment with a Q&A for all of the light duty topics covered, an effort to keep the agenda on track. Followed by a quick 5-minute break and return for the overview of the Clean Truck and Bus Voucher Incentive Project, Innovative Small E-Fleet Pilot Project, Zero-Emission Truck Loan Pilot Project, Clean Off-Road Equipment Voucher Incentive Project, and long-term heavy-duty investment strategy work group. That's a lot, I know. This was also held on August 6th. Since these topics are not closely related, we will have a Q&A after each segment or presentation. Unless we're running short on time, then we may try to condense it to the end. I will now hand things over to Nick to address any questions or comments you have so far.
Thanks, Adelina. Good evening, folks. If you have any questions or comments, this is an opportunity to address those. If you do have a question or comment, you can click the raise hand icon under the participants tab on your Zoom application on your desktop computer. If you're using Zoom on a mobile device, tap raise hand in the More tab. If you're calling in by phone, press *2 to raise your hand. Also, in addition to speaking up in this meeting, you could alternatively email your question or comment to our Clean Transportation Incentives inbox. You see the email there on the slide. Once you are called to make a comment or ask your question, please state your name and affiliation so we know who you are. Thank you very much. We have, I'm not sure how much time do we have for this at this point, Adelina, I think.
Just a few minutes.
Just a few minutes. All right. So I'm going to check for any raised hands at this moment. I'm not seeing any, so that may work out for a small window of opportunity. Again, if you have a question or comment, please raise your hand using the raise hand function in Zoom. But I'm
We
not
usually
seeing
don't.
anybody.
Sometimes people may have audio questions or just really quick questions.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anybody at this point.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. And I will hand things over to my colleague Maggie.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maggie Witt, and I'm just here to kick us off on this first agenda item, which is a recap of a working group that CARB hosted on August 6th. The purpose of that work group was to provide updates on various projects and efforts related to clean transportation equity and light-duty vehicle investments. CARB staff provided these updates at this time to align with the development of the fiscal year 2024-25 Clean Transportation Incentives Funding Plan. You can now find the draft of this plan on CARB's website. And I think maybe a colleague will drop that in. Great. Thank you. Next slide. So today we're going to cover the following topics that we originally presented the CARB staff presented at the August 6th work group. And so those topics are the Zero-Emission Assurance Project and an update on the vehicle affordability analysis, an update on the Driving Clean Assistance Program, sustainable community-based transportation equity projects, and lastly, metrics and evaluation efforts that relate to both light-duty purchase incentives and to the sustainable transportation equity projects. And now I'm going to hand it off to our first presenter, Michael Litwin.
Thank you, Maggie. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Litwin, and I am the air pollution specialist here at CARB. I'll be leading our conversation on zero-emission assurance project, vehicle affordability analysis, and drive clean assistance program today. Next slide, please. Now let's transition to talk about zero-emission assurance project, or ZAP. ZAP was established by Assembly Bill 193 to help reduce the risk of buying a used zero-emission vehicle or near zero-emission vehicle, like a plug-in hybrid or conventional hybrid vehicle. Specifically, the project will provide a rebate for the replacement battery or fuel cell components for these vehicles. Repair costs are a significant barrier to obtaining a zero or near zero emission vehicle for lower income Californians. ZAP completes CARB's light-duty vehicle purchase incentive programs by alleviating low-income residents' concern about premature battery degradation, which can cause reduced vehicle performance, vehicle depletion, and costly repairs. Next slide, please. Eligibility for ZAP will be determined by participation in district or CARB CC4A or financing assistance pilot programs. This also includes any participants of the upcoming Drive Clean Assistance Program. To be eligible for ZAP, the participant must have maintained continuous ownership of the vehicle since purchasing it through one of CARB's vehicle purchase incentive programs. As previously mentioned, AB 193, ZAP incentives are limited to one per vehicle. AB 193 also mentions income limits that currently differ from limits CARB has historically used for eligibility in equity-focused purchase incentive programs. CARB programs typically base household income thresholds off a percentage of the federal poverty level. It was at 400% of the federal poverty level previously, and in recent years, it was decreased to 300%. Ideally, staff would like to maintain income limits in line with CARB's vehicle purchase incentive programs to avoid sending applicants through an income verification a second time if they needed to take advantage of ZAP for a vehicle they purchased through one of CARB's programs. Staff is analyzing the difference between what was outlined in AB 193 and what has been required through CARB's programs. We will provide an update in an upcoming work group. Next slide, please. Given most manufacturer warranties cover 10 years and up to 100,000 miles, and that ZAP covers used vehicles, providing an extended warranty period up to 15 years or 200,000 miles should be more than cover project participants' needs. In preliminary research, we found that vehicles outside the first generation Leafs and Priuses had batteries that lasted up to 300,000 miles in hybrids. Primarily battery electric vehicle data used in Advanced Clean Cars 2 regulation shows with proper charging and maintenance that large battery packs can last 300,000 miles or more. Staff proposes that ZAP provide incentives up to $7,500 to replace premature failures of a battery or fuel cell component in a zero-emission vehicle, including labor costs. This amount was determined by analyzing the average cost of replacing batteries, anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000 on average, and aligning with the purchase grant amount offered in DCAP. Staff is also proposing to provide an option to participate to replace their vehicle in lieu of repairing the battery or fuel cell components should repair costs exceed $7,500. The ZAP incentive to replace the vehicle would be stackable with other local and federal programs, but it would not be stackable with other CARB vehicle purchase incentive programs. Staff believes that it does not make sense to scrap older zero-emission vehicles as they may still have a useful life in other purposes. Thus, staff is exploring options to donate the vehicle to community college and automotive technician programs to assist with workforce training and future zero-emission vehicle technologies. Now, let's shift gears to provide the summary of the updated vehicle affordability analysis, which will be included in this year's funding plan. The Centers for Sustainable Energy updated this previous analysis with numbers from 2024 and provided updated results, which will be covered in the next few slides. Next slide. Yep. In terms of ZEVs and CARB's cash incentives, an 8% interest rate loan and a federal clean vehicle tax credit reduced the cost of new EVs, ZEVs, but does not enable affordable choices for lower income households given the parameters of the analysis. However, things are different when looking at used EVs. There are a few affordable used EVs, or ZEVs, options without CARB's incentives. Option 6, given the parameters of the analysis, when factoring in Clean Cars for All incentives, 8% loan, and used clean vehicle federal tax credit, this greatly increases the number of affordable options in 88, while combining incentive provided broad diversity in vehicle choice. Options for large vehicles still remain limited. Next slide. In summary, while these results suggest that there are no affordable new vehicle options for low-income households, even when including incentives, we continue to see increased in demand for CARB's incentive programs focused on lower-income customers. The analysis is based on a set number of factors, and we fully recognize that every person's financial situation is different. With the expansion of the Clean Cars for All and financing assistance statewide through Derived Clean Assistance Program, CARB staff will continue to analyze real-world data from these programs to inform future updates of this analysis so that it reflects what we actually are seeing. Before I pass to the next presenter, I want to provide one last update. The Drive Clean Assistance Program, the statewide Clean Cars for All and Financing Assistance Project, is now open in Imperial Valley and will be opening in other air districts soon. In this year's funding plan, we are proposing a simple change within the financing assistance portion of the program, specifically a financing loan cap of $35,000 was presented in previous iterations of the financing assistance program. In response to market analysis and public comment and work group, staff has proposed to increase the cap to $45,000, a $10,000 increase from previous financing loan cap, thereby increasing opportunities for Drive Clean Assistance participants to find a vehicle that best fits their needs. Alongside the purchase price cap for the program, the policy will now allow customers to finance the majority, if not all, of their vehicle purchase beyond the down payment covered by the incentive in these programs. With that, I will now hand it off to Grace to discuss our mobility projects.
Great, thanks, Michael. Good evening, everyone. My name is Graciela Garcia. I'm a staff air pollution specialist with the California Air Resources Board. Today, I'll be giving a quick overview of our mobility investments. These investments are meant to address the transportation needs of Californians living in disadvantaged and low-income communities, and were developed with a comprehensive community input and feedback. The projects on this slide provide funding for a variety of clean mobility solutions that inspire and help community members get around without owning a car. The projects in this portfolio include statewide Clean Mobility Options Vouchers, or CMO, regional clean mobility pilots, planning and capacity building grants, Clean Mobility in Schools, or CMIS grants, and the Sustainable Transportation Equity Project, or STEP grants. Next, I'll discuss future efforts to further focus these investments in hard-to-reach communities. Next slide, please. So over the last few funding plan cycles, CARB has received comments that CARB should consider implementing a needs-based model for the clean transportation, equity, and light-duty vehicle investments to focus our investments on low-income communities with limited to no participation. In response, CARB recently developed a needs-based model for the vehicle purchase incentive projects and will begin implementing this model with the launch of the Driving Clean Assistance Program, or DCAP. In addition, the Sustainable Community-Based Transportation Equity, or mobility projects already implement various needs-based models to target hard-to-reach communities. Even though this work is already underway, CARB plans to evaluate alternative needs-based models for the mobility projects. However, in light of the budget deficit and the absence of new funding, CARB will discuss this topic further in future public work groups and funding plans. In the meantime, CARB staff plan to evaluate current application processes as well as findings from the fiscal year 2022-23 STEP, CMIS, and Planning and Capacity Building Technical Assistance Survey for improvements to application processes and program guidelines. In addition, CARB intends to collect data and lessons learned with the launch of DCAP, and that will also be presented in future public work groups. This concludes this portion of the presentation, and I'll now hand it over to my colleague Maggie to present on metrics and evaluation strategies. Maggie?
Thank you, Grace. Hello again. And again, this is Maggie Witt here, now to talk about metrics and evaluation. And this item relates to both light-duty purchase incentives and the clean mobility projects that Grace just talked about. So in this portion, I'll specifically walk through these 4 items: our goals related to metrics and evaluation, the host of data and metrics that we currently collect, how we use the metrics to measure socioeconomic benefits, and lastly, the challenges and opportunities we face. Great. So first, I'm going to talk about our goals. So the first goal is to use metrics to evaluate program and project effectiveness. And this is really at the heart of why we collect data and track metrics. It's to determine if projects are achieving their goals. So in the first part of my presentation, I will explain the metrics and evaluation methods that we use in pursuit of this goal. Goal 2 is focused on addressing findings from the 2021 audit by the California State Auditor. The auditor's report recommended that CARB take steps to ensure that projects deliver the socioeconomic benefits they promise. And I'll delve into this topic in later slides as well. Goal 3 is to standardize data collection. Historically, data collection and metrics evaluation have been done on a project-by-project basis. So we're aiming to standardize these processes in order to facilitate comparison and aggregation. Goal 4 is to identify data and metrics gaps and needs. And this stems from our pursuit of continuous improvement. We hope that the community members who are here today can help us address these gaps or point out our blind spots. Lastly, goal 5 is to develop a system for sharing data and metrics. Some projects currently make data publicly available, but we lack a centralized location for data sharing, which is something we'd like to explore further. Next slide, please. Great. So now I'm going to explore the data metrics that we currently collect. Next slide. Currently, hundreds of metrics are collected by and for these projects using a variety of methods and involving dozens of actors. For example, we currently collect metrics and data from sources ranging from incentive and grant applications to surveys of individuals. And the data collection actors range from staff here at CARB to third-party project administrators and university researchers that we contract with. To make this extensive topic more tangible for this meeting, I've organized the array of metrics into 4 categories, and they are: first, estimated or modeled benefits; second, participant information; third, project and program level information; and last, outreach and engagement data. Now, I'll go through these categories in the next 2 slides and talk about the methods we use to collect them and the actors involved. And I'm also going to try to provide some examples. Next slide, please. Great. So first, we have estimated and modeled benefits from the California Climate Investments, or CCI, benefit calculator tools. These tools take project-specific data and use them in those tools to estimate outcomes like greenhouse gas emission reductions, air pollutant reductions, avoided fuel use, travel cost savings, and even job support. Although these metrics are modeled, they rely on scientifically proven methods and are documented in the CCI, that stands for California Climate Investments, database and website. The second category is participant information, and it's gathered from incentive applications, surveys, and also telematics, which is basically information that comes off of vehicles that we may fund through our programs. This data includes participant demographics, service locations, travel behavior before and after receiving incentives, and vehicle details. It also covers participant experiences and trips with the service or with their new clean vehicles. Currently, data reporting varies. We have a dashboard for purchase incentive programs, but it has limited demographic data. For mobility projects, we're still working on compiling and analyzing participant information. The third category is project level information. This data collected by grantees and administrators includes things like the number of grants or the number of enrollments, partners, and the monetary values of grants, incentives, and vouchers. It also covers the types of equipment purchased with incentive funds. These metrics are often aggregated to show stakeholders and the public the scope of a project. While much of the data is publicly available on project administrators' websites or on CARB's own website, there isn't a single centralized location. The best sources are the annual funding plan and the California Climate Investments online data dashboard. The fourth category is outreach and engagement data. And this data helps CARB and its partners assess the effectiveness of our outreach efforts to ensure that those in need are aware of and can access our programs and projects. Data includes information on outreach events, engagement interactions, down to things like phone calls, and also qualitative feedback from the community. People will provide us with quotes and testimonials and things like that. Though tracking can be challenging, analyzing this information is so important for understanding successes, lessons learned, and areas needing improvement. All right, now that I've oriented you to the metrics collected, let's focus on how CARB uses a subset of them to measure the socioeconomic benefits of our purchase incentives and mobility projects. So CARB designs its projects to deliver socioeconomic benefits, especially to low-income and disadvantaged communities. Socioeconomic benefits are the improvements that come about related to people's health, education, access to opportunities, economic status, and overall quality of life. So back in 2021, the California State Auditor recommended that CARB enhance its measurement and evaluation of these benefits. And to address this, CARB first went about identifying relevant metrics, such as travel cost savings and improved access to jobs and services. And all of these were included in the fiscal year 2022-23 funding plan. Next on the list, CARB worked to develop a data collection process, which it finalized by the fall of 2023. And so this process uses different methods like surveys and project applications and vehicle telematics to gather metrics needed to evaluate socioeconomic benefit effectiveness. The audit also suggested using these metrics to guide funding and project design. And that's something CARB is currently implementing with our various projects at different stages. So in the next few years, we expect to use this analysis to refine our funding allocations and our project designs. So we've made great strides in collecting data and developing metrics and analyzing socioeconomic benefits, but we still face some challenges. One issue is gathering demographic information. In the past, we depended on voluntary surveys, which had low participation rates and didn't always give us a clear picture of the demographics we serve. Now we've added demographic questions to our incentive applications, but answering these types of questions is still optional. For mobility projects, we continue to rely on surveys. Another challenge is making our data collection methods consistent. Different projects started at different times, leading to varying data gathering practices. We also face limitations in our ability to analyze data thoroughly, and so we often rely on university researchers, which is greatly helpful, but isn't feasible for every project. Despite these challenges, there are also opportunities. We are creating a standardized user survey, which will help us compare and combine data more effectively. And we're working to improve how we use the data we collect to update our policies. Each year, as we implement new projects and gather better data, we gain a clearer understanding of how to improve our programs and policies. So we're excited to hear community ideas on how we can keep improving and tackle these challenges. Thanks.
Thanks, Maggie. With that, we'll open it up to questions and comments on anything that you've just heard. Again, please raise your hand if you're using Zoom on your desktop computer. Click raise hand under the participants tab. If you're using Zoom on a mobile device, similarly, click raise hand under the more tab. You can also raise your hand if you're calling in by phone by pressing *2. And again, you can email your question or comment to the email address you see here. So with that, I'll keep an eye out for raised hands. I'm not seeing any at the moment. We don't have any emails either. Maybe give it a minute or two to let folks opportunity to raise their hand or think of a question or comment, but I'm not seeing any at the moment. Not seeing any raised hands either.
Right.
I think we'll have opportunity too towards the end, so folks don't miss it now. They'll get another chance as well.
All right, folks. Last call before we take a break. All right. So let's see. It's 5:37 now. Let's come back at. Let's come back at 5. Let's just do 5:45. All right. All right. Welcome back from the break, everyone. We usually do 5 minutes, but I added a couple on there since we are ahead of schedule. We will now continue with the second half of our meeting with the review of the Clean Truck and Bus Voucher Incentive Project, Innovative Small E-Fleet Pilot Project, Clean Off-Road Equipment Voucher Incentive Project, and Long-Term Heavy-Duty Investment Strategy Workshop from August 6th. Next slide. I just want to note that all group topics mentioned are proposed updates for fiscal year 2024-25. I will now hand things over to my colleague Matt to present on our next topic.
Thanks so much. My name is Matt Williams, and I am the lead staff for the long-term heavy-duty investment strategy. Today, I'm also filling in for the lead staff of 2 programs we'll be discussing. That's the Clean Truck and Bus Voucher Incentive Project, HVIP, which will be our first topic, as well as in a little bit, the Clean Off-Road Equipment Program, or CORE. The manager over both of those programs is Young Trin, who's on today, and he will be available to answer any questions that may come up. So we'll go ahead and get started with HVIP. We can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. As HVIP enters its 14th year, the project continues to adapt to changing needs. This year, HVIP continues strengthening its focus on supporting underserved fleets and more targeted measures to address air quality needs in California's priority populations. Next slide. As of September 15th, 2024, HVIP has $139 million in available funds. Over the program's life, over 12,100 vehicles have been funded, with 2,000 plus fleets participating. This year's proposed funding plan does not allocate additional money to HVIP for fiscal year 2024-25 due to the limited funding available in the budget and the needs in other project categories. Hence, HVIP funds are projected to be exhausted by late 2024 or early 2025. We are witnessing strong demand for vouchers with a record pace of redemptions in recent months. As a reminder, effective January 1st, 2025, HVIP eligibility will be limited to fleet sizes fewer than 50 vehicles. This limitation was made to bring the HVIP definition in line with several CARB regulations, such as advanced clean fleets. This year, CARB is proposing to simplify the existing voucher structure to include a review of voucher amounts and streamlining voucher calculations. This includes a review of vouchers for conversion kits. We're maintaining our commitment to supporting small fleets while also reviewing the doubling voucher enhancement. This is crucial for ensuring accessibility and incentivizing the transition to cleaner alternatives to as many small fleets as possible. In addition, we're evaluating the potential introduction of a manufacturer's suggested retail price, or MSRP cap. Also, CARB will explore a potential revamp of the voucher process whereby fleets would be given a voucher redemption certificate that they could use to shop for a vehicle that meets their needs. Here are the resources and contact names for the HVIP should you have any questions or seek additional information.
Okay, folks, I think we're clear on the process for raising your hand for questions and comments. But just to remind everybody, you can email your questions to the email you see here on the slide. If you're calling them by phone, press *2 or raise your hand in Zoom. I'm not seeing any raised hands right now. Give it a minute. Neither do we have any emails at this point.
Okay, let's just keep moving forward then.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brianna Rocha. I am the CARB implementation lead for the Innovative Small E-Fleet Pilot Project, or ISEF for short. Next slide, please. Now for a little background on ISEF, it was established as a set-aside within the Clean Truck and Bus Voucher Incentive Project, HVIP, in the 2021 to 2022 funding plan. HVIP as a whole was designed to accelerate market transformation and by reducing the purchase price of zero-emission technologies. And as mentioned prior by my colleague, it is the cornerstone of CARB's advanced technology heavy-duty incentives for on-road zero-emission technologies, including battery electric, fuel cell, and electric power takeoff. The ISEF set-aside was designed to help small fleets and independent owners/operators overcome barriers to ZEV market entry and to pilot innovative mechanisms such as all-inclusive leases, truck as a service, and other creative options. Transactions within ISEF have involved three primary parties, including the ISEF provider, an HVIP-approved dealer, and the eligible small fleet participant. These small fleet participants include entities with 20 or fewer vehicles operating in California, making less than $15 million in annual revenue. Government fleets and nonprofits are exempt from the revenue cap. Next slide, please. As of August 2024, there is approximately $20 million available for ISEF. The current proposal for this year's funding plan is to allocate an additional $14.97 million of the Air Quality Improvement Program appropriation to continue to support innovative projects. Over the last year, staff has explored new solutions to barriers small fleets face when adopting zero-emission technology, such as access to insurance for heavy-duty ZEVs and how to potentially provide advanced fleet management services for when an entity incorporates a ZEV into their fleet. In addition, staff is proposing to begin exploring the design of a used truck voucher pilot concept for the fiscal year of 2024 to 2025. The proposal would leverage and build upon the broader portfolio of creative, innovative solutions already in ISEF. A used truck voucher program could help foster the market by reducing costs and increasing the supply of vehicles. It would also allow CARB to collect valuable information to understand challenges as market develops, as well as to inform future policies. We would also be careful to not create a program that would inflate the prices. We intend to hold future meetings to discuss details about the new projects ISEF could fund, such as the insurance idea and the advanced management fleet assistance. And there will also be dedicated meetings specifically for the used vehicle voucher pilot project. Next slide, please. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact us. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Not seeing any raised hands at the moment. The process is still the same. You can email your questions, raise your hand in Zoom, or press *2 if you're calling in by phone. Not seeing any raised hands at the moment.
All right, let's hand things over to Matt again to go over the clean off-road equipment voucher incentive project.
Thanks. Matt Williams here again. I'll now present on the Clean Off-Road Equipment Voucher Incentive Project, or CORE. A little overview about the Clean Off-Road Equipment Project, or CORE. The program is a first-come, first-served system similar to HVIP. CORE is intended to accelerate the deployment of advanced zero-emission technology in the off-road sector by providing a streamlined pathway for fleets to access funding, which will help to offset the incremental cost of advanced zero-emission technology such as forklifts, transportation refrigeration units, and construction and agricultural equipment. CORE targets commercially ready products which have not yet achieved a significant market foothold. This program allows stacking, which means you can use funding from this program and other incentive programs, but still need to follow the incentive rules for each. Also, CORE does not require scrappage of one of your current pieces of equipment. Additionally, there are enhancements for infrastructure, small businesses, and operations in disadvantaged communities. The proposed funding plan is allocating $14.9 million in air quality improvement funds to CORE. CARB proposes to dedicate these funds to small businesses only. CARB proposes to graduate or remove the mature zero-emission off-road terminal tractors used at freight facilities. This equipment type has proven to be in high demand and has been oversubscribed in CORE year after year. There are other incentive programs which can still offer off-road terminal tractor incentives, such as CAP, Moyer, and the VW Mitigation Fund. Based on feedback, CARB is proposing a new baseline voucher amount for large forklifts with a gross combined weight rating greater than 54,001 pounds. As the technological advancements for heavier load equipment progress, CORE incentives are reevaluated to support equipment that are entering the early stages of commercial adoption. CARB is also looking to streamline the CORE equipment eligibility process with a worksheet or eligibility application template for manufacturers. Manufacturers interested in initiating a request would provide supporting documentation that is not being captured under the current procedures earlier in the process. And here are the resources and contact names should you have any questions or seek additional information on CORE.
All right. I won't bore you all with the instructions on how to raise your hands anymore. I'll just keep an eye out for a raised hand, but I'm not seeing them at the moment. Yeah, no raised hands at the moment.
All right, we'll hand things back over to Matt.
Okay, we'll continue on. Thanks everyone for sticking around for the last portion of today's meeting, an update on the fiscal year 2024-2025 long-term heavy-duty investment strategy. My name is Matt Williams and I am the lead staff. The manager overseeing the document is Jason Crow, and I'm also supported in the development of the strategy by April Schmitz. Next slide, please. In this portion of the meeting, we'll share an overview of updates to this year's heavy-duty investment strategy and get feedback from our stakeholders if there is any. We'll start with an overview of the heavy-duty investment strategy, the role of incentives, our 2024 metrics of success, and finally, investment priorities for the next 3 years. The heavy-duty investment strategy will appear as an appendix to the fiscal year 2024-2025 annual funding plan for clean transportation incentives, but the strategy scope is from fiscal year 25-26 through fiscal year 27-28, and it does not make any funding decisions. All of that is done through the development of the funding plan alongside the legislature's annual budget. As such, we won't be discussing the fiscal year 24-25 budget or funding policy for fiscal year 24-25. The heavy-duty investment strategy is CARB's long-term guidance document for clean transportation incentives funding, that being from low carbon transportation investments and the Air Quality Improvement Program. It covers 3 fiscal years, beginning with the upcoming budget year, and it is updated annually. The strategy serves as a roadmap showing how state incentives can help spark private sector investment and create the partnerships necessary to support the acceleration of clean technology, advancement, and market deployment in the heavy-duty on- and off-road sectors. It identifies key priority areas for investment that will maintain market momentum and work alongside regulations to reduce emissions from the heavy-duty space. Each year, the heavy-duty investment strategy document includes several key elements. This year's document will include an updated discussion of how our investments drive the technology advancement and market adoption of clean heavy-duty technologies that, along with regulations, will allow the state to meet its climate and air quality goals. Updates on the current status of clean heavy-duty vehicle and equipment technologies and the respective markets, ways to report on the metrics of investment success, new examples of what's happening in the industry by means of many case studies, an updated 3-year set of recommendations for heavy-duty vehicle and off-road investments, the ways CARB is focusing investments on the communities and small businesses in greatest need of assistance, and finally, an annual report on the progress we've made towards cleaning up the state's school bus fleet. CARB investments support advanced technologies across the commercialization pathway. CARB has an array of incentives that accomplish various goals, from demonstrating pre-commercial technology to assisting under-resourced fleets and promoting equitable distribution of clean technology across the state. The heavy-duty investment strategy is specific to low-carbon transportation investments and the Air Quality Improvement Program, which together can fund a wide array of project types, but are focused on early market support and equity. For example, our advanced technology demonstration and pilot projects help to accelerate the commercialization of emerging clean technologies, while our Clean Truck and Bus Voucher Incentive Project, better known as HVIP, focuses on helping small businesses access commercially available zero-emission trucks. The heavy-duty investment strategy works to define the outcomes successful investments should strive to achieve. Metrics developed for the strategy can be grouped into 3 broader categories: supporting healthy communities, supporting technology evolution, and growing the green economy. Tracking these metrics helps guide program design and helps demonstrate the impacts of our work. The metrics shown here are mostly quantifying some of the many benefits from HVIP and the Clean Off-Road Equipment Voucher Incentive Project, or CORE, but we are also working to enumerate the unique benefits supplied by our advanced technology demonstration and pilot projects, which have invested over $400 million. These 32 projects have deployed over 600 units of advanced technology, many of them world firsts, from a battery electric freight locomotive in line haul service to the conversion of entire trucking fleets to zero emission. More than 99% of those investments have benefited priority populations. Notable updates to our programmatic metrics from last year include a massive jump in clean miles traveled in disadvantaged communities, with HVIP-funded vehicles tallying over 155 million miles in the past year, bringing the total to over 350 million. Also, a rapidly growing core catalog reflects a burgeoning market for commercially available zero-emission equipment. Finally, the total investment leveraged by HVIP and core increased by another $1 billion since last year, demonstrating the power of our programs to spur triple the investment from other public and private sources. A principal product of the heavy-duty investment strategy is the 3-year investment priorities table, which details our recommendations for clean transportation incentives beginning next fiscal year and organized by the aims of our projects, those being the demonstration of pre-commercial technology and scaled pilot deployments of early commercial technology, programs designed to accelerate broad market adoption, and equity projects helping small fleets and priority populations access the cleanest commercially available technologies. The table is intended to show our top priorities and is not exhaustive of all the types of projects we would or intend to fund given sufficient resources. With a new fiscal year now added to the table for fiscal year 2027-28, staff has worked with internal experts and industry advisors to develop proposed project category priorities. We also made a couple updates to the fiscal year 25-26 and 26-27 columns from last year's document. Some priorities guiding this year's update include a growing focus on ensuring equitable access to and disbursement of public funds, preparing additional off-road categories for regulation, and signaling to technology providers and other market participants California's interest in accelerating the arrival of advanced technologies in demanding applications like ocean-going vessels and aviation. I'll give you some time to look over the table, but I'll point out a few highlights. The new 3rd year is characterized by the narrowing of scope as more technologies graduate out of our incentive programs and we focus on demanding platforms and equity. Related to those demanding applications, you'll see a new abbreviation, AT, which stands for Advanced Technology, before these most challenging applications. AT represents true stepping stones to zero emission in demanding applications, not just cleaner combustion, renewable fuels, or conventional hybrids. Some examples might include hydrogen turbine hybrids in aviation, zero-emission capable hybrids in marine, and other solutions we're hoping to learn more about. Hydrogen ecosystems represent large-scale production and use of hydrogen by an array of vehicle and equipment types, similar to or possibly in conjunction with the Arch's Hydrogen Hub project. And off-road zero-emission ecosystems includes proving out scale deployments of many technology types like zero-emission TRUs or transport refrigeration units and gensets. As the table shows, we're exploring new ideas of how to support secondary markets for clean technology and helping small fleets with financing and insurance assistance. Go ahead and go to the next slide. That's all I have for you today on the heavy-duty investment strategy. Here is the contact information for myself and my colleagues for the document, should you have any follow-up with us later. At this time, I'll turn it over for questions.
Thanks, Matt. All right, folks, if you have a question or comment, *2 if you're calling by phone, or raise your hand in Zoom. Alternatively, you can email us with the email you see on the screen there. I'm not seeing any raised hands at the moment. Still no raised hands. Adeline, I'll hand it back to you.
Okay. Let's move on to the next slide. All right, this is just a wrap up and next steps for the evening community meetings. I just want to say thank you again to everyone who's attended. I usually expect a lot more questions and comments, but it ebbs and flows just like everything else in life. We appreciate everyone who came out tonight. We appreciate your time. So thank you. Next slide. Just want to go over a couple of dates coming up. And just a quick note, the evening community meetings are held every third Tuesday of the month, excluding June, due to the state budget being finalized, and November, the month of the funding plan being presented to the board. I would like to note that the proposed funding plan will be posted October 11th. It will be open for public comment for 30 days. Then we will have our next evening community meeting October 15th. We should be sending out more information such as registration and an agenda very soon. I'm working on that right now. Let's see what else. No November meeting. We will be taking the funding plan to the board. And that is pretty much it. I will have staff drop the fiscal year 2024-25 draft funding plan clean transportation incentives workshop page, just so that it'll give you guys easy access to the web page. Next slide. Please feel free to contact us with any questions or concerns. If you have something you would like us to present or look into regarding air quality or community transportation needs, please email us. We're here to listen and we'll do our best to help. You can reach our team at the Clean Transportation Incentives at arb.ca.gov. I will have our staff drop that in the chat. And thank you for attending. That concludes our meeting. See you next month.